Hi boys and girls, it's Miss Laura from the library. Welcome to Pajama Jam. Tonight I'll be reading you a couple of stories and we'll sing a really fun song together. So are you ready to get started? Do you have your jammies on? Are you cuddled up with your favorite blanket? And how about those listening ears? Are they ready? Our first story tonight is Pete the Cat and the Bedtime Blues, and it's written by Kimberly and James Dean. In this story, Pete and his friends have had a really fun day at the beach, and they don't want the fun to end. So Pete has a really great idea. How about a sleepover at his house? Well, the friends all think that's a really groovy thing to do. So they head over to Pete's and have a great time. But when it's time for sleep, it just doesn't go the way Pete had hoped. Should we see what happens? Pete and the gang had a great day. They'd been at the beach, surf and sun, and tons of fun. But when the sun went down, they didn't want the fun to end. Pete had an idea. Hey, how about a sleepover? More time for tons of fun. Groovy. Pete's place. Let's go. The party was far out, but they knew they couldn't stay up all night. The gang decided it was time to say goodnight. On went the pajamas and out went the light. Good night, Gus. Good night, Alligator. Good night, Toad. Good night, Pete. Pete was just about to catch some Z's when... Who did that? Pete asked. It was me, said Grumpy Toad. I don't want to go to bed. I want to clap instead. Pete covered his head. This cool cat needs to go to bed. Good night, Gus. Good night, Alligator. Good night, Toad. Good night, Pete. Time to sleep. Pete tried again to catch some Z's when rat-a-tat-tat. Who did that? Pete asked. It was me, said Gus the Platypus. I don't want to go to bed. I want to jam instead. Pete covered his head. This cool cat needs to go to bed. Time to sleep. Good night, Gus. Good night, Alligator. Good night, Toad. Good night, Pete. Pete closed his eyes to catch some Z's when he heard... Munch, munch, munch. Pete had a hunch. It was Alligator. He was always up for eating. What could Pete do? All the clapping, rat-a-tat-tatting, and munching was giving him the bedtime blues. Pete had a groovy idea. He got out his favorite bedtime story and started to read, first to himself and then to the gang. Pete noticed it was finally quiet. No more clapping, no more rat-a-tat-tatting, and no more munching. They all settled down. No one made a sound. Pete yawned and turned off the light. Good night, sleep tight. Time to catch some Z's. Tomorrow was another day for surfing, sun, and tons of fun. That was a fun story, wasn't it? Pete had the right idea. A bedtime story is always the best thing to help you get to sleep. Boys and girls, now it's time for our song. Can you guess what we might be singing? There's a bed. Who jumps on the bed? No, not you. The monkeys. Help me count the monkeys as I put them on the bed. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Ready to sing? 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. One fell off and bumped his head. Mommy called the doctor and the doctor said, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. How many are left? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 little monkeys jumping on the bed. One fell off and bumped his head. Mommy called the doctor and the doctor said, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. How many are left? That's right, it's 3. 3 little monkeys jumping on the bed. One fell off and bumped his head. Mommy called the doctor and the doctor said, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. How many are left? 1, 2. 2 little monkeys jumping on the bed. One fell off and bumped his head. Mommy called the doctor and the doctor said, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. How many are left? 1. 1 little monkey jumping on the bed. One fell off and bumped his head. Mommy called the doctor and the doctor said, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. Say it with me again. No more monkeys jumping on the bed. Yay! That was such a fun song, wasn't it? Well, our next story is called Click Clack Goodnight, and it's written by Doreen Cronin and Betsy Lewin. In this story, Farmer Brown is busy tucking all of the animals into bed for the night. Everyone's cooperating except for one, and that one is Duck. Should we see what happens? It is nighttime on the farm. Everyone is tired. It is time to relax, unwind, and unplug. The cows are ready for bed. Farmer Brown pats their heads and turns out the cow light. Cows in the dark, sound asleep. The chickens are ready for bed. Farmer Brown covers them with a blanket and turns on the chicken light. Chickens in the nearly dark, sound asleep. The sheep are ready for bed. Farmer Brown brushes out their tangles and turns out the sheep light. Sheep in the dark, sound asleep. Duck is not quite ready for bed. Farmer Brown sings him a song, reads him a book, turns on the white noise machine, and puts on a shadow puppet show. But Duck is wide awake. Farmer Brown practices downward-facing dog with him, discusses the day's top news stories, debates the day's top news stories, and turns out the duck light. Farmer Brown in the dark, sound asleep. Duck in the dark, wide awake. Duck tries to sleep like a cow, but it is too crowded. Duck tries to sleep like a sheep, but it is too soft. Duck tries to sleep like a chicken, but it is too bright. Duck finds a soft spot under the maple tree. No cows, no sheep, no chickens. It's not too soft. It's not too crowded. The moonlight is just right. Duck closes his eyes. Chit-chat chitter, chit-chat chitter, chit-chat chitter. The bats in the trees are wide awake. Duck finds a spot by the pond. No cows, no sheep, no chickens, no bats. It is not too soft. It is not too crowded. There is no chit-chat chittering. The moonlight is just right. Duck closes his eyes. Burp, 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 burp. The frogs in the pond are wide awake. Duck knows a new spot. No cows, no sheep, no chickens, no bats, no frogs. Duck also knows where Farmer Brown keeps the hot sauce, the sliced cheese, and the whole wheat bread. His stomach is full. The mattress is firm. The book is just right. Farmer Brown's pajamas are soft. The moonlight shines in through the window. Duck closes his eyes. Duck in the dark, sound asleep. Well, Duck finally got nice and comfy, but poor Farmer Brown ended up sleeping at the foot of the bed. Thanks so much for joining me tonight for Pajama Jam. We read some great stories and sang a really fun song together. It's getting close to bedtime. Time to get all snuggled up in your bed and give your grown-up a big kiss goodnight. And it's time for me to go back to work in the library. So I'm going to put my mask on. I'm all set. Sweet dreams. I'll see you next time.